welcome to this week's Children's Ministry Online. We have some dancing, a story, and a craft waiting for you on the other side, so let's get to it.
Disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. All right, get ready. Here we go. Run. Here we go. Clap your hands. Here we go. Go, 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 go. Here we go. Are you ready? Hold up your hands now. Go. Let's go. Let's go. Go. Hey, hey, hey. Woo. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Are you ready? 'Cause here we go. Run. Here we go. Clap your hands. Here we go. Go, 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 go. Here we go. Come on. Now hold them up. Go. Let's go. Let's go. Go. Hey, hey, hey. Woo. All right, let's do it all one more time. Are you ready? Here we go. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. All right, all right. Here we go. Run with me. Here we go. Clap your hands. Here we go. Go, 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 go. Here we go. All right, hold up your hands. Hey, go. Let's go. Let's go. Go. Let's do it all again. Go. Let's go. Let's go. Go. Hey, hey, hey. Come on. Here we go. Come on with me. Here we go. Do not be afraid. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, go.
Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. There your heart will be also. Where your treasure is, store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. There your heart will be also. Where your treasure is. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Treasure is where your treasure is. Where your treasure is.
That's where your heart will be. 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 That's where your heart will be.
All right, let's get into our story for this week. We are going to be reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible, and the story for today is The Captain of the Storm, which is the storm on the lake from Mark 4, also told in Matthew 8. The sun was going down. The air was warm and still. "Let's go across the lake," Jesus said to his friends. Jesus had been helping people all day, and now he was tired. So they left the crowds at the shore and set out in a small fishing boat. Jesus climbed into the boat to take a nap. As soon as his head touched the pillow, he had fallen asleep. It was a beautiful evening. A gentle breeze rustled the sails. The friends were chatting happily as they headed out into the middle of the lake. Everything was perfect. It was just right for a nice and quiet sail. But they were only about halfway across when, out of nowhere, whirling winds swept across the lake, fierce and strong like a hurricane. A blinding flash of lightning lit up the sky. Thunder roared right overhead. The storm blew the water into towering waves that hurled the little boat up, 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 and then it sent it hurtling and crashing back down, down, down. The fishing boat was blown and buffeted and tossed and turned back and forth and up and down, left and right and all around. And in the middle of the storm, Jesus was still sleeping. Now, Jesus' friends had been fishermen all of their lives, but in all their years fishing, they had never seen a storm like this one. No matter how hard they struggled with their ropes and their sails, they couldn't control their boat. This storm was just way too big for them. But the storm wasn't too big for Jesus. "Help!" they screamed. "Wake up! Quick, Jesus!" Jesus opened his eyes. "Rescue us! Save us!" they shrieked. "Don't you even care?" Well, of course Jesus cared. And this was the very reason that he had come, was to rescue them and to save them, of course. Jesus stood up and spoke to the storm. "Hush," he said. And that was it. The strangest thing happened. The wind and the waves recognized Jesus' voice. I mean, they had heard it before, of course. It was the same voice that made them in the very beginning. Well, they listened to Jesus and they did what he said. Immediately, the wind stopped and the water calmed down. The water glittered innocently in the moonlight and lapped quietly against the side of the boat, as if nothing had even happened. The little boat bobbed gently up and down. There was a deep stillness and a great quiet all around. Then Jesus turned to his wind-torn friends. "Why were you scared?" he asked. "Did you forget who I am? Did you believe your fears instead of me?" Jesus' friends were quiet as the wind and the waves, and into their hearts came a different kind of storm. "What kind of man is this?" they asked themselves anxiously. "Even the winds and the waves obey him." They didn't realize yet that Jesus was the Son of God. Jesus' friends had been so afraid. They had only seen the big waves. They had forgotten that if Jesus was with them, then they had nothing to be afraid of. No matter how small their boat was or how big the storm was, Jesus was always with them. What a great reminder that Jesus is always with us and he's a calmer in the storm, whether big or small to us. Well, let's get into our craft for this time. It's going to be great. Okay, let's get into our craft for today. So we will start with the supplies that we are going to need, and we are going to need our trusty colored pencils, markers, crayons, paints, whatever you like to draw with. We are also going to need glue, either one will work, some scissors and tape, and then we are also going to need a popsicle stick. And last but not least, we are going to need 4 pieces of paper. So we're going to need a blue piece of paper, a dark blue, a lighter blue, and then 2 pieces of white of paper. Now, if you don't have these 2 blues, that's okay. You can just use more white pieces of paper and then you can color them the dark and the light blue. And I'll show you what we're gonna do with those in a moment. So go ahead and grab your supplies and I'll meet you back here in a sec. Okay, now that you have all of your supplies, let's get started. So we are going to start with one of our white pieces of paper. Now this is what we're going to be gluing and making our main picture on. So to figure out what we're going to do with that, we'll actually take this darker blue piece of paper, and what we're going to do is we are going to make some waves. Because the story today was about how Jesus calmed the storm and this huge like lightning and thunder and huge just water just pouring all over them. So we're going to try and show that big storm happening and Jesus just calming it with just his presence. So we'll take this darker blue and we're going to make big waves right about, we'll say about halfway up onto the paper. So you'll just make some waves like that. And then from there, we're going to just cut this out. So just like this. All right, so we'll put this to the side because we won't need that anymore. Now this is what we're going to be putting onto here. So you can see that it doesn't fit all the way, it kind of goes over. So I'll just make a little mark right here, because that is where we need to cut to make it fit our piece of paper. like that. And it fits. It's a little bit over, but that's okay, because we're not really gonna see this bottom part. Because for the second, is we're going to take this light blue piece of paper and we're gonna make smaller waves. So we see that it goes up to about halfway up this paper as well. So we're gonna wanna start our waves right here. That way we can see both the dark blue and the light blue waves. So we'll grab our blue and then we'll start making some waves right about halfway up. And then we'll do the same thing that we did with the dark blue, and we're gonna cut out these waves. Okay, once you've cut that out, you'll put that just right on the bottom so it'll look like this. So these are the two different waves that we have, two different colors. One's a little bit more fast, one's more slow. So what we're gonna do with these is we are going to tape them, glue them, or staple them onto our piece of paper. Now the trick is we don't want to glue this part, the whole middle part of the wave onto the paper. We only want to glue the sides of the light blue. So this big blue one, we can go ahead and glue or tape this whole thing onto our white piece of paper. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so we'll take this blue, we'll put it up against our edges just like that, and we will tape it to our white piece of paper, just like that. Okay, so now this light blue piece of paper. So this one, we just want to glue the sides or tape the sides or only do that because we don't want this middle part, and I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm just gonna actually go ahead and tape these guys to okay, so now this leaves a little envelope opening right here. And this guy is glued on. Maybe I'll glue that better. Perfect, there we go. So, all right, now that we have those, now we're going to make the rest of the storm. So we'll make some thunderclouds, we'll make some lightning, we'll draw rain. We'll just make this look like it's a huge storm that's happening. So go ahead, decorate it however you want. There'll be an example to the side of what you can draw. Okay, so once you have finished making your storm, now we are going to make the boat that Jesus and his friends were in when this whole storm started to happen. So we will draw the boat, and then we'll draw Jesus at one end and his friends at the other, with Jesus with his arms up, because just his presence and him saying stop makes the storm calm and just be still. And then all of his friends are looking worried because they're in the middle of this storm and they're like, what's gonna happen? So go ahead and try and draw that as best as you can. I have an example to the side that you can use as you would like. All right, so once you've drawn the boat with Jesus and his friends, go ahead and cut this out. Okay, so once you have cut out the boat, we're going to take our popsicle stick and we're going to glue or tape the boat and Jesus and his friends to the popsicle stick on the back here. So go ahead and either glue or tape your popsicle stick. Just like that. And I'll go ahead and tape this bottom part as well. That way we make sure it stays on there. All right, once you've done this, we are going to slide the boat and Jesus in between the dark blue and the light blue. And this is going to be you being able to control where they go during this big, huge storm, just like this. And that is going to be our craft today. If you want to write the reference for where this story is from, you can write Mark 4 right here. That way you just know what you are drawing about. And when you look at this and you start playing with it, you'll know exactly what you are looking at. So thank you for joining this week's craft. I look forward to next time. Thanks for watching this week's Children's Ministry Online. Remember to show us some of the crafts that you made. We really do love seeing them. You can post them on our Facebook page underneath the community tab. We just really love being able to see all the creativity that comes from all of you. And as another reminder, from last week, we mentioned that we had a very generous donation of Bibles for the children and the youth of our church. So if you want to follow along with me to the Jesus Storybook Bible, go onto our church website underneath the Children's Ministry tab, and you can sign up to get the free Bible. We also have some comic book Bibles. We have some really cool different options, so I highly recommend that you go and look at some of those and sign up if you haven't already. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great rest of your week.